hug yourself! Dazzy! Don't hug yourself before you jump. Keep your arms in, otherwise they'll rip right off. There you go. Only took 4 tries for her to figure it out. Okay, sorry. Are we ready? Hello, I am Dan Chuggins, and I am here at Starbase El Motar on the planet Momota 2 in the Zainichi sector, and currently I am, and for the last several years have been, Assistant Athletic Director on the base, and in that job, my most important responsibility has been as head coach of the Spaceball team. If you tuck it, it won't hurt as much when he kicks you there. Sorry, I'm doing 2 things at once here. Thank you once again, by the way, for agreeing not to record the scrimmage the team is holding over there. I know it sounds silly, but we take Spaceball very seriously around here, and espionage is a concern with the big game coming up. The focal point of the sports calendar on Momota 2 is the annual Spaceball game between our Starfleet team and the team from Raymond SFB, the Space Force base on the minor southeastern continent. We're hosting the game here at El Motar this year, so there's always extra pressure to win a home game, you know? I'm not too worried, though. A lot of our best players have been transferred to other assignments over the past couple of years, so the team I'm working with now is a lot younger and more inexperienced than I've been used to, but Level 1! Macklin! Set the phaser on level 1. It's just a practice, for Christ's sake. Cushing, are you okay? Are you sure? All right, tape it up for now, but if it starts to fall off, take a breather. I think it's coming together. A little about me. I'm from Musico BR. Most people assume I'm human, which I get. We look just like humans, and Starfleet is majority human. But I'm not. I'm Musico BRian, born and raised. I'm technically not in Starfleet, either. I am, but I'm not. You know, I'm a civilian adjunct with the Starfleet Health and Fitness Program. We organize and operate athletic activities on Starfleet ships and bases around the galaxy to help ensure personnel are in good shape and good spirits, too. We keep bodies strong and morale high. I love my job. I should hope I do. I've been doing it for over 120 years. They started the Health and Fitness Program shortly after Starfleet was chartered, and I applied as soon as I heard about it. At first, I was worried they'd think I was too old. I am creeping up on 6,000, which is only middle-aged for a Musico BRian, but it sounds ancient to most humans. It turned out to be no problem. In fact, funny coincidence, the guy who interviewed me when I applied to the program was over 14,000. And he's human. He told me it was some fluke about his biology that allowed him to live for long intervals without aging. We lost touch eventually, but he was a really interesting guy. Apparently he used to be Confucius. That part didn't impress me so much, beyond the historical curiosity. My family have been followers of the crab god since the dawn of our species, more or less. Anyway, I've always liked sports, at least as far back as I can remember. The first 2,000 years or so are kind of a blur. I've been here at Starbase El Motar since it was established 10 years ago. I came to help set up the HFP here, and of course it was obvious we'd need to have Spaceball, the Federation's favorite pastime. We started out with an on-base league of 6 teams, which plays a full season every year, but then after the Space Force base was established and there was a natural rivalry, we also started choosing an all-star team to represent the entire Starbase against the all-star team from the Space Force base. Like I told you, we all take it pretty seriously. To be honest, we're so far out on what the Federation considers the frontier that there's not a whole lot else to do. But even with that being the case, it's mostly good-natured. Just friendly competition. Dazzy! When he passes out, you have to let him go, right away. If I call in one more resuscitation case this week, Doc will never let me hear the end of it. Dazzy Brightly. Lieutenant Junior grade, my star player. For all the wrong reasons. Not that any of it's her fault. Do you know that story? Okay. Dazzy is tuned. As in, gravitationally tuned. And I guess I'll explain what that is. It's okay, awareness is only just starting to spread. So, Dazzy was born on Ginzobus, which is a planet with surface gravity of around 3 Gs, or 3 times the standard gravity found on most inhabited planets and on all Starfleet ships and facilities. Most Ginzabusians are fine living in 3 Gs. They're adapted to that environment, as you would expect. But for some Ginzabusians, and actually for some people born on other planets with higher than typical surface gravity too, they aren't comfortable in the high gravity environment. It's not that they can't function physically. They're as able to live and work in the high gravity as anyone else on their world. They just feel as though they don't belong there. But when they're in a single G environment, like this, like most places where humanoids live, they do feel comfortable. They feel at home. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just a psychological condition that some people born into high gravity environments have. It's called gravitational disharmony. When they move into a single G environment, the distress they feel as a result of their disharmony naturally goes away. The only thing is, if they decide they want to live in single G on a long-term basis, they need to undergo what's called a gravitational tuning process to allow their body to continue to function in a healthy manner outside the high gravity environment they were born in. That's what Dazzy did. She was disharmonious with her home planet's gravity. She moved to a place with single G gravity and was much happier. So she decided to transition to living in single G full-time, and she went through the tuning process. That was years ago. She finished her treatments before she even graduated the academy, I think. But as soon as some of those shit-for-brains Space Force goofs found out, Dazzy being tuned was all they could talk about. They've accused her of having an unfair advantage over other players. They've accused us of trying to cheat by having her on the team. And it's just so ridiculous because anyone who knows anything about it knows that gravitational tuning doesn't confer any physical advantage. The whole point of the process is to acclimate the person to a single G environment. Yes, it involves adjusting things like lung capacity and bone density and muscle mass, but only to move them into a range that will be healthy and sustainable in single G. It doesn't make you faster or stronger or whatever else these anti-tuning nitwits say it does. Hell, when you're adjusted to live in single G after spending your whole life up to that point in high gravity, it actually reduces your physical strength. Some people who have been tuned are still stronger than average, but you know what? Some people who haven't been tuned are stronger than average too. That's how averages work. Should we ban everyone who is above average from playing sports? Do these reactionary fucks even hear themselves? The funniest thing of all, Dazzy's not even that great of a Spaceball player. She's a mediocre fielder at best, a below average hitter, a bit on the slow side as a runner, her grappling lacks technique, her phaser aim is for shit, and her vertical jump is still a good 6 inches short of where it needs to be. She only made the All-Star base team last year because of a rule that says the All-Star roster needs to have at least one player from each of the 6 teams in the base league. And she's the best player on the Quick Steps, who are by far the worst team. Don't let her up! Alvarez, when something like that happens, you get over there and help. We don't need 2 people covering 5th base at that point. And Dazzy, if they do give you an opening like that, take advantage of it. Get up, keep going. And if you have to slide head first when you get there, make sure you've got those gauntlets up and spikes out, okay? Don't worry about his eyes. We can replace his eyes in plenty of time for game day. Anyway, that was last year. She's better this year, but that's because of practice, not because she's tuned. And even with her recent improvement, she ain't exactly Babe Herculetron 7 out there, you know? Yet, according to those Space Force chumps, she's my secret weapon. I wish she was as good as they make her sound when they complain about her. It's always something. There's always got to be somebody to blame, or to be afraid of, somebody whose fault it is that things didn't go your way. And it's like that with everybody, but it seems like it's really like that with humans, at least in my experience. No offense, you're all human, I take it. I thought so, though I wondered if maybe you were Veldarnian. No? Interesting. I don't see many humans with that particular shade of purple. Oh, you had them done. They look good. Anyway, don't take this the wrong way, but to me, It seems like some humans aren't happy unless they have someone to scapegoat. Here, now, it's tuned people. 200 or 300 years ago on Earth, your ancestors were persecuting each other based on all sorts of equally shallow reasons: skin color, gender, sexuality, place of birth. I know because I lived on Earth for a few centuries, passing for human. You all civilization has come a long way since then, but when it comes to shit like this, you haven't changed nearly as much as you tell yourselves you have, but most humans aren't ready for that conversation. If she's too fast to tag, just throw it at her head! The truth is, Raymond SFB has lost to Starbase El Motar in the annual Spaceball game 4 years in a row, and they're grasping for excuses. They can't admit defeat, so they accuse us of cheating by having a gravitationally tuned player on the team, despite the fact that it makes no sense on any level and only makes them sound like sore losers and, even worse, bigoted little crybabies. But that's okay. You know why? Because the big game is in a few days, and we're gonna give those Space Force so-called Spaceball players something to cry about. And if that doesn't happen, if we lose the game, for example, because Dazzy accidentally scores 3 consecutive own goals again, which is why we only won last year's game by a single point, and which isn't going to happen this year because she's really been working on remembering which goal is which, and she's up to a reliable 75% accuracy. But whatever, no matter what the reason, if we lose, we're going to shake hands with the winning team, we're going to keep our heads held high, we're going to come back next year and try again. We're not going to whine. We're not going to make excuses. I'm not going to say the other team cheated because their star player is a Gorn defector who actually does have vastly superior strength to everyone else on the field, by the way. Not that I've ever made that an issue, and not that it's done them any good anyway. The reason we're not going to do any of that is because we're adults. We're adults who get the privilege of not only exploring the universe, but of spending some of our time playing a game most of the people on that field, on either team, learned to play as children. Not me, obviously, though I do have a dim memory from my childhood of a game that was similar to Spaceball in many ways. If I recall correctly, the name of it in my native language translates roughly to heart stab. But most people who play Spaceball are taught it by their parents or their grandparents, or they learn it in their first few years of school. And they carry those memories with them their whole lives. Playing it with their friends in the schoolyard, going to games with their families, cheering on their heroes. We have the opportunity to honor that tradition every time we play. And never more so here on Momota 2 than when we play against that Space Force team with our pride as a base and as representatives of Starfleet on the line. And I promise you, win or lose, we will never do anything to tarnish the legacy of this sacred game. Whose legs are these?